What's up, guys? So this is going to be the wild flight tutorial. Right off the bat, we go down hard, right and down. You can actually take a look at my joystick input right there. I'm holding, in order to go down, it's inverted control, so it's like right up in order to go down. Keep in mind, just like with the last flight tutorial, consider that Spyro is either going to go more down or more right. He's either transitioning between those two states. He's never perfectly in between them. In this case, you want to go down further down at the start and then curve it more to the right, so that way you get more momentum right off the bat. And I skipped this first boat right here. You can opt to get him first. It is not a time difference one way or another, because you have to get him later anyways. Hit that guy. Keep along the right side of the wall. Now you'll notice since we climbed up that waterfall, we're a little bit higher up in the level, and that affects Spyro's flying speed. Not to mention these boat guys move very slowly, so don't be too quick with your flames. Just make sure you're hitting them on the right part of their boat so that you're giving yourself optimal lines. Curve left to right with this guy, so that way you can have a good setup to hit this arc right here. If you try to hit this other guy right here too optimally, then you might not give yourself a good approach for that arc. Be careful not to get flopped on the corner of these ledges here, but don't be afraid to go through the bottom part of this archway right here, because even though these parts have collision on them, the bottom kind of line through them is actually very lenient with the geometry of the archway, and you don't want to go any higher than you need to at this particular spot. And if all goes well, you should be seeing the end part. You'll be able to know your pace at this point as to how far this guy is forward. So since this guy was like a little far forward, I was hitting his engine. That was about normal pace. If you were to hit him like kind of closer to his front, that's like a really good pace. For NTSC, of course. On PAL, the cycles for these flight levels are a little different. Now here's that guy right there that we skipped earlier at the very first part of the level. Be careful when you flame him. Do you want to flame this guy a little early and get an early turn so that way you don't flop on this corner right here? That's just something you have to be careful of if you're doing this strat. But I have no problem getting around that. Don't be too early with the flame on this guy. Again, remind yourself that these guys are moving very slowly. So just wait with the flame. There's no reason to be overly rambunctious there. This particular box right here, we're coming through it. And if you go perfectly straight through like this spot of the archway, what'll happen is as it explodes, this debris will be in your way. So it's nice to get a little bit of a slight left to right motion, even though that does sacrifice a few frames, just for the sake of the camera not being obscured by the debris of the archway. Now with this right here, you want to hit it on the side. I mean, optimize it, but don't over-optimize it, right? You could even do that same thing as earlier with the other boat where you kind of go a little bit like right to left, give yourself a nice wide turn so that way you don't get caught on this part right here, which actually there's like a corner right here that's really easy to get caught in. So prepare your turn accordingly. All right, now right here, this is what it all comes down to. As we're entering this area right here, if all has gone well up to this point, you should be able to see this guy coming in towards you, kind of alongside this guy right here. In fact, these guys were a little bit further ahead in their cycle than I wanted. Sometimes they'll be a little further behind, like over here and over here. But you'll have the low guy and the high guy up here. Just like make a mental note of this image right here. This is the image you want to see when you get to this point. You hit this guy first, then that guy. Now, if you are not on a good cycle, what you'll have to do is, this guy will be further behind. So let's imagine now that you had a shitty first half of the level. What you need to do is when that guy will be further up this way, so you hit this guy first, then that guy, then the next guy, if they're further ahead in their cycle because you're slower. So you hit, if you're trying to do the safe strat here, if you're not quick enough, you have to hit 3 guys on the left. There's another guy right here that would be further out. Hit 3 guys on the left and then go in that tunnel. Curve it around and then finish the level. Okay, so the safe strat, one more time to reiterate, the safe strat is get 3 guys on the left and then go in this far tunnel. The ballsy strat, if and only if you're on a good pace on the first half of the level, the ballsy strat is to hit this guy, then this guy, and let's see what happens after that. And you can see I just barely caught that guy. That's why it's only doable on the fast strat. You flop on that part of the wall and then dive bomb into that floor right there. Let's just watch that one more time. This wall is particularly finicky. When you hit the guy right here, you have to go straight into the wall. If you turn too hard, you can actually miss the flop here. That happens occasionally. But you want to flop and give yourself a moment with that flop. You don't have to be like going super fast with this flop. At this point, when you hit this flop, you're waiting for the planes to come around. So you're flopping And I actually pressed the glide button a little early, in my opinion. It puts you in a less optimal spot to turn around and get into the box, right? So give yourself that extra time when you're flopping. There's no rush at this point. There's no rush at this point. You flop, turn it, and then glide. This guy will be in the perfect spot. Dive bomb into this. Just make sure that you're not missing any flames. At this point, you have to flame pretty rapidly back to back with good timing. So if you need to, give yourself that extra little flame mash if you need to. Land there, full hop into this guy. One thing to be careful of when you do this spot right here is when you land, you're going to be thinking, you can't see the guy up here. So you're probably going to be thinking, oh, I got to go quick. He's probably over here somewhere. He's probably like further off to the left, right? Wrong. He's always going to be straighter and more forward compared to you than you think. So don't turn too far left. You can see I almost turned. See how I jumped off to the left there? That's actually a good strat. You jump off to the left, and then as you're using that visual cue to go up, it's like, oh, okay, let me curve back to the right, and then you can get the box a little bit more easily that way. And you see, I almost hit this. You can actually double hit with this flame right here. Let's watch this whole section in slow-mo, just so we can vibe it out. Hit this guy. Flop, turn around, don't go too quick, hit this guy, land, jump more forward, curve it back, more forward than you think. You can hit a double flame there. I didn't. You can also hit this guy right over here. If you're on an insanely fast cycle, you can hit that guy at this point, but I usually miss him. He's pretty tough to hit. Get this one. That guy will be coming out quick, so be ready coming with this box. Be ready to fucking fly straight up right after that to hit this next dude. And then now at this point, we're waiting again. Once we hit this guy, we're waiting, and there's the final two planes. And then making sure on this last plane that you hit him, but you don't hit him so far down that you'll accidentally hit the box, because then you'll trigger the animation and have to cancel it on the roof instead of the wall. So you try intentionally to hit these guys individually, not at the same time. Okay? So there's a lot of sections where you're trying to go quick here and a lot of sections where you're trying to wait here. So let's watch that whole section one more time, and I'm just going to say where you're trying to push it and where you're trying to wait. So right here, we're pushing it. We're trying to get into this, especially this guy, as quickly as possible. Now we're waiting. We're waiting. Boom. Land here. We're still playing it safe. Don't try to go too quick here. Boom. You can try to get that extra guy if you want. Get the box. Get quick. And now we're waiting. We're waiting again. We're waiting. I give yourself a little bit extra right turn and then come in. Boom. Get them. Individual. Don't try to turn down too early. And then boom, hit the box the last possible second so that Spyro mashes his face into the wall and skips the animation of him gliding up into the air. And that is Wild Flight for you. It's a really wacky strat. Probably one of the hardest flight levels in the game to do optimally, or at least with this strategy. But with some practice, it is consistently doable, so don't give up, especially if you're having trouble getting the right cycles at coming into the second half of the level right here. If you're having trouble getting the cycles right, just remember there's that easy strat where you hit the 3 planes on the left. See, it would be like, you'd hit this guy, this guy, this guy, right? Or actually, since it would be further on, it would be this guy, and then this guy, right? So you'd hit the 3 on the left and then go into the tunnel. Not this one, but the other one, and come back through and finish up the level that way, okay? So there's 2 strats here. If you're too slow, just be ready to switch your strat right when you come into that middle area to the safe one, or do the hard one if you're on pace with the cycles. And that's it with Wild Flight. If you're ready with those 2 strats, then you'll be good to go. And with that, I want to say thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next tutorial. Peace.